Today we're talking stripes. Today's project is a beautiful stripy beanie, so stay with me and we'll run through everything you need to make this project. And for this project I'm going to be using this Rowan Pure Wool worsted yarn in a beautiful dark grey and Stylecraft Special Aran yarn, and the colour on this one is shade 1083 Pomegranate. It's a beautiful rich pink colour. I also suggest you caking up your yarn in advance to make this project a little easier, or even trying to find the centre pull, which is something I can never seem to be able to do. So with my both yarns caked up nicely, let's get started. So I'm going to cast on with the grey. Over and under, or back and forth, all the way around the bed of your machine, making sure that your yarn is going under those hooks. And if you're new to casting on, bend down and have a look at the structure of each hook, and you'll know what I mean about getting the yarn under each hook, which is vitally important to avoid dropped stitches. So now we've cast on, we're going to knit one row in the grey. Zero my clock, nearly forgot. And one row in the grey. Now this is where it's going to get a little bit on the tricky side, okay, so it's a little bit of a swappy system, this one. So grab your next colour, whatever colour you've chosen to use. I'm using the pink, of course. And we're going to do one row of pink, okay. Leave the tail hang down, we'll be sorting that out later. One row of pink. To your final needle, whether you're using a 46, 48, 40, 22, whatever colour, whatever size machine you're using, this is the same system for any machine. Take your grey out of the centre, pop it to the side, let your yarn sit there, try not to get them tangled, that's important, okay, so don't tangle them. Bring it under your first needle and back into your yarn feeder. Like that, and knit one row. Back to number one, take it out, put it in the centre, making sure all those tails and yarn is out of the way. And this is all we're going to do, is alternate between one and the other. And that's why the cakes make it a little easier, because it does feed a little easier doing it this way. Oh, we don't want it under the black needle, that's our first one. Check which way your yarn is sitting before you swap over. Pop it under that one, because I've just moved forward a tad more than I wanted to. And crank with your next one, one row. That's it. Just swap all the way for the length of your beanie. I'm going to be doing 120 rows, so I'm not quite sure where I'm going to stop for the liner. I'm not quite sure where I want the brim to sit, whether I want a stripy brim to match the main body of the beanie, or whether I want a plain brim to flop up, if you know what I mean. So carry on for a little while, and once I work it out, I will pop back on and tell you exactly where I'm going to stop with mine. So it looks like put your previous colour to the right and bring your other colour to the left. Because to be honest, I've only done a practice one with this to see if my idea would work. And so far, it's looking pretty good. So old yarn to the right, new yarn to the left. I'm feeding it under my first needle because I cranked forward a little bit far. Now it could be a little laborious, this, but I guess once you get into it, it's a little bit of a rhythm. Make sure that your yarn is out of the way, otherwise your needles are going to catch that and then you'll have a problem later on, and loops and stuff. So that one goes to the right, this one comes to the left, and another row. So you get the idea. That's all you need to do, one row at a time, and the effect is absolutely beautiful, I have to say. So one to the right, one to the left. Take it the right way, not like I just did there. There we are, yarn back in the yarn feeder and crank all the way around. You can see now why caking the yarn is making this a little bit easier, because I'm not dealing with having to take yarn out in order to knit, to release yarn. It's kind of feeding itself really. And I think if you've got a yarn baller, what do you call it, a wool winder, that's the word. If you've got a wool winder, then definitely that's the way forward. It does help. There we go. So carry on like that. One to the right and one to the left. It's very early in the morning here. It's nice and quiet at the moment for me to do this project. So you're getting the idea of what you need to do. Making sure those tails are out of the way. Bring that in there like that. And do another row. And you can see now that these individual stripes are working up quite nicely. Like I said, it's a little bit, you know, time consuming. It's going to take you a little longer than knitting it straight with one colour. But the result will be worth it, trust me. It's going to be really, really pretty and quite punchy. So I'm working on a 120 row beanie. But of course you can do the complete 120 rows in this if you want to. Or more rows if you like a sloppier beanie. Or less rows if you want a tighter beanie. But I'll show you the test piece that I've done already in the yellow and the red. Isn't that really nice? Look at that. So I've just finished row 57 and I have decided that I am going to do 60 rows in this stripe and 60 rows in plain, and hopefully we'll end up with a reversible beanie. So that's the plan. That's what I'm doing, but you can alter how you do your stripes and your plain to suit yourself, whichever combination you want to do. So we put our previous colour to the right and bring our previous colour to the left, so they loop over like that. Okay, so you can see them looping over, and then we're going to finish now to row 60. So this is row 59 and one more row to go before we switch over onto our solid colour. So yarn out, previous colour to the right, new colour to the left, so that they cross over like that. Okay, so this is my final row of the stripe, and it all depends on now what colour do I finish in. Do I finish in the grey or the pink? I think because I've got the pink in, I'm going to finish with the pink. So I'm going to snip off my grey, and now I'm going to crank to row 120 with the pink. That's my plan. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to pull a length of yarn through there like that, and I'm going to have a traditional colour join, otherwise we're not going to have anything to snip that onto. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave that there and I'll tie these together when I get to the end. So I'm going to crank on now until I get to row 120. So we'll come back then together for casting off. Isn't it looking great? I love these stripes. I think it's fabulous. I'm looking forward to stretching them out at the end. I think that's going to be quite satisfying. So here we are with our last couple of rows. This is the very last row, coming up to row 120, and there we are. So I'm going to cut an 18-inch tail, grab my needle for casting off, and then we'll cast off this fabulous beanie and see what we got. Because again, this is a little bit trial and error for me. I've done a test piece, but I've not done a full beanie. So this is my very first full beanie, using this swappy stripy thing. So let's just get on with casting off and less chat. And there we are, our work is off the machine. Fantastic, all done. Let's stretch it out and see what we've got. And here we are with our beanie freshly off the machine. And what's the best thing about this? No colour joins to make, alright? Only the one maybe. No tying knots together at each colour join. Absolutely fantastic. Let's be brave and show you the opposite side. And that's what you get with this system of swapping over the yarns. Okay, so it's a lot neater than all the knots that you get when you're tying together. And talking of knots, let's tie our one colour join together. Here, I'm going to do a nice tight little join, and we're going to end up with 3 on this one. Tie that nice and tightly, and one more for luck, and then we can snip that off. Great, that's done. Now all we need to do is to turn our work inside out and stretch it and see what we get. And there's our colour joins. They're running down on the right side, which are quite nice, aren't they? They're not too obvious at all. So if you're going to sell these beanies, then I don't think it's going to look pretty obvious. No, it looks really, really good actually. Really pleased with that. Anyway, let's stretch it out and let's make a beanie. So stretch our work out so all the stitches are going to sit in their rightful place, and let's assemble our beanie. So we are going to put one side inside the other, and whichever side you choose, that'll be up to you, but I'm going to pull the plain side inside the stripy side. Remember now to keep your tails together so your work doesn't get all twisted up inside. Okay, so there's my tail. There's my tail there, and there's my tail there. Now I have to remember that I do have 2 tails here, because I started with the grey, but I've got a pink tail. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that tail in and tie it in when I cinch together. Okay, so I'm going to bring my tails together. Here we go. So there's my grey starting cast on row and my ending cast off row. Keep those together, and then line your beanie up and make sure that it's all sitting where it should. And then I'm going to cinch the inner part of the tube first. That's the way I do it. And I put my finger in the center there to guide those stitches. And then you have to make sure that you've got no nasty bunches. So I'll be turning it out the other way shortly to make sure that everything is looking just as good on the inside, because obviously we are going to be using this as a reversible beanie. I'm going to trim my tail to a more manageable length, and then keep that tail to one side. I've got a little peg here, which I find handy sometimes, so I'm going to pop a little peg on there so I don't lose that tail. And then I'm going to cinch up the outer part of the beanie. Cinch that together, pulling all those little ripples and pushing them inside where they should sit, so you get a nice tight cinch. Now you can add a pom-pom onto this, of course. Now whether you make a traditional pom-pom, a yarn one on a pom-pom maker in 2 colours, which would be great, or whether you use a faux fur one, that'll be up to you. Not quite sure what I'm going to do on mine yet. Right, so let's keep this yarn out here so we can add it into our cinching system on the top here. Right, so there's my 2 cinches. I'm going to turn mine out and make sure that my inside cinch is neat, and it isn't. Look, it's got a little bobble in it. So need to push that in properly so that we get a neat cinch on both sides. Now if you're going to be adding a pom-pom, you may want to leave a slight hole. I sometimes do because it's easier to thread removable pom-poms on. But if you want a tight cinch, then you can do that as well. Right, so I'm going to trim the grey a little shorter as well. And then I'm going to grab that tail that was left from casting on along with my others, and I'm going to keep them together, and I'm going to tie them all together to close the top of this beanie off. So once you've tied them together, I'm doing 2 knots here, nice and tight, and then I'm going to wrap around twice to finish off. You can bury those tails inside the layers of your work, and you can call your beanie almost done, apart from the pom-pom. Okay, now I've done 120 rows split equally 60 and 60, and there you can see at the beanie, if I stretch it out, that's the effect that you get. That's really quite nice, isn't it? I like it. There's the join. You can just about see the join, okay, and if you stretch it, obviously you're going to see it a tad more, but not by much. I am super duper impressed, and of course you don't get that lumpiness that you normally get. Okay, so I'll bury my tails now and find a little pom-pom, and we'll add that, and we can call our little job done. So regarding a pom-pom, I've got this dark faux fur one, so I could attach that to the top like that, but I'm also going to make one with a traditional pom-pom maker, and this size is, I believe, 6.8 centimeters, and the kit comes with 4 altogether in there, 8.8, and I think you've got the smallest then, which is 3.8 and 4.8, and this kind of middle of the road one is 6.8. So let's make a traditional one for our beanie. And I'm sure you've all seen these before, but you basically just fold them out and you wrap that side, and then fold them back in, cut around the middle and tie with yarn. So as you well know, just pop your 2 yarns on there, keep them together and just wrap around tightly, as tight as you can wrap it. That's what I find works really well for these. Don't wrap loosely, nice and tight. Keeping those together like that, which I'm not doing at the moment. Let's keep that one wrapped in and just nice and tight wrap until that section there is level with the outer edge. Okay, so wrap it all around. Let's keep that one up out of the way. Keep on wrapping and keep on wrapping, nice and tight. And let's grab that. We can hold that starting section off then. There we go. Let's cut that back and forth, keeping everything evenly wound, nice and tight, and do the same the other side. And the more you wrap, the fuller your pom-pom will be, and we're nearly coming to the end of this one now. That, and I'm going to cut mine like that, and then I'm going to push that one inside that side like that, and as you can see, it fits just nicely. So do the same the other side, and I'll see you in 2 minutes. So there's my pom-pom maker, nicely wound and threaded all the way around, nice and full. Okay, so the next step, easy peasy, get your nice little sharp scissors and snip all the way around. Now the sharper your scissors, the better, and use the center of your pom-pom maker to guide your scissors. And of course I have done mine super duper threaded up, so it's proving a fight, but I will win. There we are, told you I'd win. Excellent. So there's our pom-pom trimmed and ready to go. So I've got a long length. It must be about 20 inches long. And what we do is thread it down that groove there like that. All the way around to the top. Let's make sure I've trimmed all of these through. And that is right. Even up your cord as much as you can. There we go. We're going to put a few knots now. I put one knot one side, tie it as tight as I can. I always get a little bit of shedding with these, to be honest, and that's why I wanted to try the cable tie suggestion, but I don't have one. But I will try one another time and report back. So another knot this side, the opposite side, and pull it tight. And then we're going to come back where we started and do a double knot, and then we can part our pom-pom and see what we've got before we trim it up. So one knot and then a double knot, and we're done. And my husband's due home from work, that's why the dogs are barking. They're getting excited, they know all the times. There we are. Pull that apart and pull apart using those little tabs there. There we go. And then you just put your hands either side there on the white bits and wiggle it apart, and hopefully with a bit of wriggling we got a pom-pom. I think my husband is home. Yes, that's why they're barking. So 2 minutes and we'll be back and we shall trim our pom-pom up. I like that. That's gonna look cool. So all we need to do now is to trim our pom-pom and make it all nice and round. It's not too bad from a roundy shape, just needs tidying up. This is the messy bit, but it is fun. And I do love how full these pom-poms are when you wind your yarn really tightly around your pom-pom maker. You can see you get that lovely dense yarn ends there showing through. They're looking quite chunky and full. So let's move all that fluffy fuzziness out of the way. And what I'm going to do then, because I've got this, this is an upholstery button, I believe they are, but some people use lots of other things. If you look on some online shopping stores, you can find all sorts of things to do that job for you. So I'm going to get my darning needle now and put my ends on and pull them through. So there's one. So I like to stick my hand in, and I like to put it either side of the cinch there to kind of balance it. And I'll pull that one through and then pull this one through. Opposite the other one, something like that. Now you could use a button, you can use a sew-on clip-on fastener if you want to. But of course this option gives you the reversible beanie option. And like that. And what we do then is we put our yarn through one end of this buttony thing. And I should have left it on the needle. So leave yours on the needle. It probably will be easier to thread through. Or maybe will it go through? Oh yes, it'll go through. Excellent. So pull that through like that, and all I do then is to pull it tight and add a bow, a knot and a bow. That's what I do. And then you can take it off if you want to use your beanie as a reversible. And if you want more of a fold up brim on yours, because 120 rows depending on your head size, let's move these out of the way. Depending on your head size will give you maybe a small turn up. For a larger head you're going to need to do more like 140 rows for this, okay? But I split mine half and half, so whichever rows you do, if you do 140 it'll be 70, 70, 160, 80, 80, that kind of thing. Alright, so that's the beanie done and dusted. What do you think of that design? I absolutely think it's fabulous. It's a little bit time consuming to keep swapping your yarns over, but definitely cake them up to start. It does help. This pattern produces a reversible beanie, so you can put a different pom-pom on the top and fold your stripes up in order to make a lovely brim. So once again, thank you so much for spending time with me. I really do appreciate it. I really, really do appreciate it, okay? So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and comment if you like this project. And if you'd like to give a small donation to a local no-kill animal centre or rescue or shelter close to you, that would be absolutely amazing. I would really, really love that. Don't forget to join my Facebook group, Crafty Cars Collective, and you can also find me on Instagram, CraftyCars33. You can also have a little checkout of my Etsy shop. There's a few little patterns in there that might interest you. So I'll see you again very, very soon. Ta-ra now, hwyl fawr!